Positive Vibe family, you welcome to Marjuna, and on today's episode, guys, we're going to be talking about the things I wish I knew before I got married. And guys, before I had this before I had this video, I called one of my friends. I was like, I just wanted to find out, why did you get married? You know what this guy told me? He said, girl, I got married because I wanted to have sex without guilt. I wanted sex to be legal, and I was like, what? When getting married, you have to know the purpose. You have to know the reason why you are getting married. Before I got married, it was so clear to me. I knew the purpose why I was getting married. Not like my friend that he just wanted to get married because he wants he wants his sex life to be legal. But I knew the purpose why I was getting married, and it was so clear to me, guys. In this life, the choice of how your marriage turns out is on you, not on anybody else, not on mother-in-law, father-in-law, but it's on you. So guys, I'm going to be sharing with you the few things I wish I knew before I got married. And the first one on my list is food. I didn't know that I have to cook every day. Yeah, I'll start from uni. When I was in the uni, I eat what I want to eat. I don't cook every day. Okay, later I finished uni, I got a job and I started working. Most times when I get home, I'm tired. I just take biscuit, take Coke, drink juice, whatever, and I sleep. And there are sometimes maybe a slice of bread. Maybe I'll just drink milk, tea, whatever it is around me that I have in the house, in the refrigerator, I drink or I eat. But when I got married, especially when you start having kids, what will they eat if you don't cook? Or maybe probably you want to eat this, you want to eat biscuit and sleep, and your husband doesn't want that. So I didn't know that I have to cook every day. I got to know that when I got married. And the second one is compromise. Oh my goodness, compromise. There are some things, and probably I'll just call it sacrifice. There are some things that there are some extent that maybe when you are single you can't really go for. There are some things that you can't really give away. Okay, that's the right thing. There are some things that you can't really just let go naturally like that, because they mean so much to you. They cost a lot. I'm looking for the words to use to express it. There are some things that you hold on to. You can't break that. You can't just sacrifice it. But when you get married, even if it has to do with your kidney, you just make that sacrifice. You just make that compromise. I happen to live in the north for a very long time in Nigeria, and I saw ladies who make sacrifice, compromise their religion. Someone might be, maybe the lady is a Christian. She got married to a Muslim. She has to change her lifestyle, even while she's still a Christian. She not changes the way she dresses. She can't use this kind of hair I'm carrying now. She has to cover her face, wear some certain kind of clothes. So I saw a lot of that, and you just have to. There are some women, just because they want to give their children the best, they let their career go. They'll become a housewife, stay at home or work from home. There's some certain kind of sacrifice that comes with marriage that hey, I didn't know that. I didn't know there were so many things I've given up on. There are so many things I had to sacrifice. Sorry, that's the word. There's so many things I had to sacrifice because of marriage, and I didn't know I could go that extent. But when I got married, I got to find out. And the next one is communication. Communication in marriage is very important, and these were the things I wish I knew before I got married. You guys, before I got married, I just let things out there, talking with my friends, with people. In marriage, it doesn't work like that, because you have to think of your spouse. You have to think of the feelings, and you have to think of the terms, the words you're going to use when you're trying to communicate. When you just let things out there, not caring how your spouse will feel, using some terms, you just use some words that are ungodly or that are not really. So these are the things that you look at for, and you have to check, is my spouse in that mood? Is this the right time to talk about this? Because you might be saying something, you might be saying the right thing, but at the right timing, or maybe the person is not in that mood, and nothing will be communicated. So these are the things that I wish I knew before I got married. Because when we have friends, we just say the way it is, we laugh the way it is. But in marriage, you have to choose your terms, you have to choose your mood, the mood, you have to choose the words. There are some things that you can't just let heart go because you are angry or you're in a bad mood. Communication, looking out to the tone of your voice when you're talking, when you're communicating. These are the things that you really need to know before you say how do. Then the next one is finance. This one, finance. Finance is very important. Before I got married, I didn't really I knew we were going to be spending money. I knew that finance, but I didn't really know the relevance, to discuss. You have to discuss finance with your partner before you get married. Finance discussion can be so uncomfortable when it comes to relationship. It's good, it's sweet, cool to communicate finance, to communicate money when the money is there. You just tell your spouse, hi honey, please can we go to Australia this summer? And the honey say, oh baby, there's no problem, let's go. When the money is there, it's easy to communicate. Everybody can flow. But when the money is not physically there, these are the things that are very important. And this is one of the most common reasons why marriages break, because of finance. Because these are the things that you have to discuss with your partner even while you are dating. I didn't really discuss this. We didn't really sit down to say, oh, this is how we are going to do things in regards finance. But guys, this is very important. It has to be discussed before you say I do. And I wish I knew this before I got married. So the next one is misunderstanding. Fighting. Why do people fight? Why do people have misunderstanding? It's because of expectations. When you are expecting some certain things from people and they don't do it, you become angry and there is misunderstanding. This was one of the things I really struggle with, and I wish I knew before I got married. These are things that you should discuss with your partner before you get married. There was a certain way I was trained, I was raised at home, and because of the society, because of my family, because of the way I was brought up, I just had some certain mindsets. And when I got married, I expected, even with the past relationship, before you got married, you were with somebody and you were dating the person, and those people just have a rub-off and influence on you too. And our mindset generally, I was expecting my husband to act in some certain ways, because I've seen my mom and dad. I see the way they behave, I see the way they act, I see they are good things, they are bad ones, but there were just certain things that I expected from my husband. And when he doesn't do those things, there's a misunderstanding. We start having misunderstanding, same with him. But when expectations are not met, in a nutshell, when expectations are not met, there's a misunderstanding, there's fights, there's a lot of things. So these are the things that you have to discuss with your partner before you get married. These are things I like, these are things I want, and the same person tells you the same thing. And it's very important. And when you have this misunderstanding, you have to be careful what you say. There's something my brother always say, that when you say something, the thing I've gone at, and you can never erase it or get it back. So even when we are having misunderstanding, you have to be careful what you say during those moments, because there are some things that you can say that it takes time to heal. So these are the things I wish I knew before I got married, because my expectations were so high. I wanted my husband to just come home, do some things, because this is what I was used to, or because this is what my parents were doing, and he doesn't do those things. I become angry, and same with him. But if these things were discussed before marriage, at least it would have helped. So these are the things I wish I knew before I got married, to avoid boom bush. Good fight, they are healthy fight. Fight in love and fight to get better. They are heading fighting. It doesn't mean you are fighting with blows. You understand. You guys understand what I mean. And when you say something bad, when you must have said a word, you can't take it back. You can't erase it. So that's why you have to be conscious of what you say when you are having this misunderstanding. Guys, the last on my list is sex. Yeah. Sex is very important, and this is wealth. This is what you really need to discuss with your partner before you get married. There are some people, probably they didn't even have sex before they got married, and there are some, they had sex before or when they were already in the marriage, vice versa. But these are things that you really need to discuss before you got married. I actually discussed this with MP before we got married, my sex life and everything. But guys, I was not really deep. It was not really a deep discussion, until the practical actually started, guys. Until we got married and we started doing the doings, and then I started discussing that, oh guy, this is the way I like this thing to be done. And he himself was like telling me, hey Six, this is the way I like this thing to be done. But we didn't need to be doing that inside marriage. These are things that you ought to discuss before the marriage starts. These are things that you need to know before the marriage starts, because there are people who were with other people before they got married. They had sex in some certain ways. This is the way they liked it, and by the time they got married, and this person, I talked about expectations. Expectation cause fights and misunderstanding in marriage. So by the time you now get married and the spouse is not doing the way he ought to be doing the doings, you understand what I mean? So these are things that you need to know. These are things that you have to discuss, how you want your sex life, how you enjoy it, and your spouse too ought to also know how he enjoys this, how he enjoys this English, how he enjoys his own way, style. So these are things that you really need to discuss with your spouse, and these are the things I wish I knew. I discussed my sex life with my spouse, with MP, but I was not really deep the way I ought to be, until we got into the marriage and expectations were not met, and expectations were not met. So we had to start learning in the marriage, but these are things that we would have just discussed deep into deepness before we got married. So guys, I've come to the end of this episode, and I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. The first one we said is food, sacrifice, which is compromise, misunderstanding, fighting, and the fourth one we talked about communication, and the last one we talked about sex. So guys, the choice of how your marriage comes out or turns out depends on you guys, and these are the few things I wish I knew before I got married. And I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I hope you had a nice time while watching. And guys, if you enjoyed this episode, please let me hear it in the comment section, guys, and let me also know the things you wish you knew before you got married, so that we all can learn. This is where the positive vibe community rules. Thank you so much, guys, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.